I think it is it's a very important issue that the lady raised about judging art. Of course, some of the people on the panel, they're professionally involved in judging, but everybody in the room is involved in judging. And that instinctual thing that somebody mentioned is true of everybody, whether you're a professional or you're new to the scene or what. But I would say that those instincts are fed by experience. And the more the experience is on the side of hot art, and art which is fashionable, which is being spoken of at the moment.
And
selling. Which really, that is art that comes under the label of sort of success. That's what success is in a way. And success is measured a lot by sales. You know, that's really what Frieze is about. It's a very exciting event, and I do, in fact, enjoy it for the first 10 minutes.
So, thank you, Matthew.
But you need to get your values from other places besides merely the success area. And they do come from outside the consumerist angle of art.
Thank you, Matthew. We have the young artist who would like to say something about this subject.
Yeah, the thing is that for me, thinking about how I'm going to continue to be an artist once I've finished, is I have to make art, and if I want to live by my art, I have to make art that sells. Therefore, the people who's buying art, and I think one of the problems possibly might be, for me as a woman, is the fact that a lot of the people buying art are most probably male hedge fund managers. The views that are going to be reflected.
Nonsense!
Well, why do you shout down the student?
So, maybe Matthew Slotover, would you like to say something
so
about
I'm concerned about making work that may appeal to the buying market, and if we're going to start talking about quality and quality art, and what artists are able to make, which artists are able to survive, are going to be the ones who are able to provide the market with the work that they want to see.
So Matthew Slotover, I would like to hear, is there only one type of buyer, and that the artists have to work to satisfy that one type of buyer?
It's absolutely untrue. I mean, this first of all, can you let me answer? First of all, this cliche about the hedge fund manager and the hot artist is a complete media cliche. I mean, if you look at the three biggest collectors in Britain, Saatchi, an advertising man, Frank Cohen, a property guy, and Anita Zabudovich, who's, you know, and Anita Zabudovich, none of them...
An arms dealer's wife.
Who's married to an arms dealer.
None of them are hedge fund guys. Second, yeah, it's a...
It lies with you, my dear, to make the art.
The other point is that I've noticed, I've got an example. We had a Chinese gallery in the fair. They did a piece which involved giving an actor a sleeping pill to sleep through the day on the stand. And they're quite a small gallery in Guangzhou. I said, you know, they said to me, look, it's a very conceptual artwork. We know it's not going to sell, but we just thought this is a great work and that we wanted to do it.
Thank you, Matthew. We have time just for one last question.
They sold the work.
Another quarter of an hour.
No, we are wrapping up because we have this gentleman who's going to ask one more question, and then each of you will have time for your last final statement. So, please, sir.
It's actually in reply to the lady, the student behind me. All I can say is do what you want to do in your heart.
Yeah.
Be honest to yourself. If you're not good at networking, find an agent who is.
A friend.
Now, thank you so much for these brilliant words of recommendation.
Experiencing art, and you've got to go around and you've got to make it's up to you, it's up to each and every one of you to try and find out what this peculiar thing called art is. I mean, it can take so many different forms, and there are so many different ways of experiencing it. And one of 100 different ways of experiencing it is in the art fair, and it's perfectly legitimate to go to an art fair, to enjoy things, to find things. If you're in a relatively privileged position, to be able to support art at different levels, to buy art and to make a collection, or to just to have a single work of art that gives you huge pleasure, An art fair is one of the many, many different places in which you can find it. You can find it on the internet if you like. You can find it on eBay. You can find it by going to lots and lots of galleries. You can find it in the summer exhibition of the Royal Academy. You can find it by visiting studios, by going, like Charles Saatchi, to every kind of small exhibition in London, in every gallery. And that's the way to do it. But go to art fairs too, and it's perfectly okay. Don't feel guilty.
Thank you, Norman. Now, may I ask Matthew Collins to do your last final statement?
Well, I agree with what Norman said. Of course, one shouldn't feel guilty. Guilt has to do with moral issues of right and wrong. And I hope I didn't sound moralistic earlier. I was more trying to be commonsensical. I was trying to separate and categorize experiences so there wouldn't be a confusion between them. You know, I think there's social climbing, and then there's finding out about art. And there's trying to be within the orbit of those who are successful financially. And then there's finding out about art. And then there's reading a sort of slimy magazine and pretending that you understand that rubbish and then spouting it ignorantly later. And then there's finding out about art. And I'm just trying to separate one thing from another. It's not a question of saying that one thing is evil or one thing is good. And when I spoke about saints earlier, it wasn't to do with good and bad in a Christian sense. It was more to do with that sometimes what a saint does is simply perceive that some errors are being made, and you can clear them away and get to the heart of the matter. And I think in a situation where many people have only recently signed up to the cult, which is what art is, most of those people are inwardly, even as they are braying and spouting on the outside, inwardly crying out for some kind of common sense guidance. And that's all that this evening I've dedicated myself to do, just to sort of point us in the right direction and away from, sadly, the wrong direction.
Thank you, Matthew Collins, so much. Now, I'll ask Matthew Slotover to make his final statement.
Thanks. We've heard a lot tonight about art and the art market, good versus evil, etc. I don't think great artists make art for a market. They make art that they want to make. Sometimes the market finds that art, sometimes it doesn't. The market is not the ultimate arbiter of art. History is the ultimate arbiter of art. None of these things are part of the discussion tonight, and I don't think any of us disagree on any of these points. The point really is about art fairs, whether art fairs are about money or about art. I say go to art fairs and look at art. Look at a lot of bad art, a lot of good art. You decide. You are active participants in this process. In museums, the decision's already been made for you. You're passive. There's one exhibition on show. You go and see it. They've decided. In an art fair, there's 2,000 artists on show. You can decide what you like. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew Slotover. Now, final statement of Jasper Joffe.
Joffe. It's
Joffe.
pronounced Joffe.
That's funny.
You can't decide who's in an art fair. You can't buy the art. You have to pay £15 to get in. Art fairs are about money. They've admitted it. It's a business. Matthew Slotover says in an interview, that's part of what I love about it, about the art world. I'm not quoting, this is the direct quote. The whole art world is full of the super poor and the super rich and the super smart and the super stupid. The problem is most artists are the super poor and the people they sell to are the super rich. So the people who have the power are the people who pay. The people who have the power are the people with the money who call the tune. Money is necessary, we need money, but money should be the servant of artists, not artists the servant of the super rich, not art the plaything, the decoration for rich people.
Thank you so much, Jasper Joffe. And we will now ask Richard Wentworth to do his final statement.
It's all in the conversion. There's 200 of you here, and there's no way there would have been a dozen of you here 30 years ago. whoever you are, wherever you're here. You can't be here without an effort. So there's no accident. This isn't something you just rock into. And it seems to me that this is, if this evening's remembered for something, it should be remembered for a memorial to passion, but also a memorial to curiosity. I think that people are here because actually they don't know lots of things. We don't know lots of things. It's an unbelievably privileged group of people. The very fact, I'm not really interested in who's got the bigger or smaller bank balance. What I'm interested in is people's ability to make choices. And everybody here deals in choice. That's what we think about all the time. We're wondering why we do this, why we do that. My choice is to go to an art fair because there I can have my doubts, test them, same way as I test them in a gallery. But of course, I'm not stupid. I'm not a cat. I'm not a dog. I go to a gallery or a museum or an art fair, and I already understand certain things that are attached to them. I could do the same if I got into a car. I can get into a cheap car or an expensive car. I can make judgments about it. I don't want to be wound up by it. I don't want to be distressed. We're right.
Thank you so much, Richard Wentworth. Now we have the last statement by Louisa Bach.
The token woman. The token woman in this lineup of men who dominate the art world, so I think not. Go to art fairs. For God's sake, go to art fairs. Yes, go look at art fairs. Get absolutely exhausted. Have your eyeballs rolling round in their sockets. Realise that when you have a meaningful moment in a specifically commissioned art fair project, when suddenly a policeman is meditating, suddenly a queue forms, a small child starts telling you about names of paintings. Yes, this is an art fair project moment, but actually what it's about is making the financial aspect of it look just that bit more lofty, that bit more thought-provoking, that forum to see work. Yes, go, but realise what you are doing is watching money working, you are watching the art market working, you are watching the art world in operation. And that really is what art fairs are about. They are about money and not about art. They are predicated on money. If they don't sell, they don't survive. That is the bottom line.
Thank you, Louisa Bach. Now, before we go to the crucial vote, I would like to extend my warmest thanks to the 6 outstanding debaters we had tonight. And one thing they all had in common was an amazing passion. Passion on both sides of the divide. And we will see how they managed to sway your opinion. If I remember correctly, we had roughly 40% who showed their hand in favor of the motion, which I just remind you, in case you forgot what the motion was. Art fairs are about money, not art.
All about money.
No, all you've just added, but it's okay. So we had 40% in favor, we had 40 against that motion, and we had 20% who were totally undecided. So now we're going to do again a show of hands. Of course, with the hindsight of this extraordinary wisdom that we've increased now by listening to these 6 outstanding speakers. And so I'm going to ask anybody who's here tonight who favors the motion, that is, art fairs are about money, not art, please show your hands. Can you help me to look, because I want to really judge this very independently. Okay, thank you so much. Now, would all of you who are against that motion show your hands? Very, very interesting, yes. Now, who are the ones amongst you who basically are neither for or against the motion? Well, that's totally, totally fascinating because, and correct me if I'm wrong, the speakers did have some impact on you, very marginal impact, I may add, but some nevertheless, because if I looked correctly, and you know, it's just my set of eyes, I have the feeling that the people for the motion increased from 40% to 45%. But equally, the people against the motion increased from 40 to 45%. And so, just to demonstrate further mathematically that these 6 people were truly brilliant, the number amongst you who were initially 20% who didn't know have dropped sharply to only 10%. So you all deserve a great, great applause, and all of you, of course, who made this evening. Thank you so much to all of you.
Can I also just ask you to put a very warm hand together for Philip for an amazing show of the German show. Simone, thank you very much. And I think that Norman would say experience is the truth of experience, and if you do fancy risking doing warfare with British Rail on the 8th and 9th of April, I would really appreciate you coming up and experiencing the economy of the gift. It's predicated on Bataille's notion of exchange, i.e. we're kind of a little bit beyond the money syndrome into the question of value, and the idea is it's an opportunity for the galleries to, I suppose, demonstrate the value of their cultural input apart from their fiscal input. So if you're able to travel, please do on the 8th and 9th of April, the A Foundation in Liverpool. Thank you very much.